races left in the first round of the playoffs for the NC811.com Cup Series. And this one could be a wild card, even though maybe it's not so much expected to be one. And we'll talk about why here in just a few moments. But Fort Worth, Texas, the Great American Speedway, as it was once known as Texas Motor Speedway, is the location tonight for round number 4 of the playoffs. Of course, for those who are just joining us, it's 2 rounds, 5 races apiece to split it up, and basically 20 will become 10. It's a different format, but it's one that has created a lot of entertainment so far in these first 3 races of this Sim500 North Carolina 811 Cup Series season. So where shall we be on the map? Well, on the map, we are just to the north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you take I-35 up into almost into the town of Denton, that is where you find the Texas Motor Speedway. If I can get my buttons to work. That's what happens when you're live. Go to the Speedway. Okay, well, just do this then. I'll just go to the Speedway myself when it just doesn't want to act up and not be smart. So there. It's kind of cooler when the thing just goes zooming in like that, but for some reason I can't get it to cooperate, so I just do it myself. There we go. Texas Motor Speedway. That's where we are. There's the dirt track in the background. Appreciate Google Maps for working with me on this one, or Google Earth, whatever it is. Did a great job, as it usually does. And now there we go. Now it starts spinning around, so I got it to work for me a little bit there. But there's that 1.5-mile track. You can actually see the darker PJ1 up there at the top. Don't have to worry about that on iRacing. But that is the site tonight of round number 4 of the playoffs. It is the 1.5-mile Texas Motor Speedway. We welcome you into the Captain Esports Network. I am the captain, Chris Scala, and we have a special guest joining us tonight. Unfortunately, John Mustian Jr., a little under the weather, and hopefully he feels better here in the near future. But we do have somebody that a lot of people are going to recognize the voice of. He's done plenty of races here with Sim500. He was actually in the race last night at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Trans-Service Truck Series. And tonight we welcome into the Captain Esports Network booth, Kevin England, the driver of the number 127. I'll have to find out that question for you, where that number comes from down the road here. But Kevin joins us here. Kevin, man, appreciate you joining us here tonight. We got the typical default weather, 79 degrees, 140 laps here at this Speedway. But let's talk a little bit about Texas and why. I mean, I know in real life a lot of people have been down on this track because of the reconfiguration, but it's still on iRacing a fun track to race.
I think this track's a blast to race in the sim. You have 2 separate ends of the racetrack that you have to attack differently. And with the way the setup runs, it gets a little bit loose on the long run. And these drivers are going to have a handful. But, you know, this is the last quote unquote conventional racetrack, because next week we go to Talladega, and you know how that is.
There ain't nothing conventional about that thing.
Yeah, so for drivers that get their mojo on for this style of racetrack, they're looking to see if they can lock themselves in if they're in a point championship situation here tonight at Texas.
And of course, you see on the map, it actually says 1.46 miles. And the reason why that is because that's actually the IndyCar layout for Texas. Basically, how they measure the tracks. In open wheel racing, they use the bottom of the track, which is where the 1.46 miles is. In NASCAR, they use the middle groove all the way around. So that's where the 1.5 miles comes in to play in the distance of the track and that kind of thing. Let's go look at the point standings as we enter tonight's race here at Texas. And we've got ourselves a pretty good battle on our hands. As some reason it doesn't want to show up for me. There we go. There's the battle for the points. And as you see, Daniel Falkingham leads by 50, and then that's when it gets really close. Tommy Ryan, Scott Simley, David Comstock, Mike Kelly, Bentley Glazier, Macklin Parker, all those guys are within about 10 to 15 points, and even when you get below that, you've got people like Tyler Dalton, Joey Jatina, Jose Gonzalez, Bobby Wetzel, Justin Mons. All these guys are within 20 points after 3 races. Anything can happen here.
Yeah, we've seen seasons where Daniel Falkingham does what Daniel Falkingham does. He just dominates and wins, but yet has not walked away with the championship trophy. So don't give him the hardware yet. Some of these guys back there, they've been having pretty good seasons. Bentley Glazer has been on a tear lately. Yeah, and he's looks to be locking himself in here for qualifying tonight. So there's still some history to write for the end of this season. Don't give the hardware to Daniel yet.
No, absolutely not. We saw it in the FEG Xfinity Series when that championship race started happening. Daniel was the dominant car for a little bit. Then it became Pedro Mojica, but then Daniel actually fell out of the playoffs after missing a race and then having some bad luck when all was said and done. So, yeah, anything can happen right now. And that 50-point lead, yes, it looks good. It looks like he might be on his way to the second round of that 10 cars that'll race for the championship for 5 races. But anything can happen. A bad race tonight finishes down near 34th or 35th, and he could be looking at maybe a 10-point lead going to Talladega next week. So anything can happen when this is all said and done. But let's take a look at the starting lineup as the cars are gridding for this North Carolina 811.com Cup Series race from Texas. Bentley Glazer goes out there and wins the pole tonight, a 30.377 second lap. He'll start next to David Comstock there in the Monster Energy number 13. Kevin DeBrown, who had a great run last night, looked like he was on his way to victory at Atlanta before Super Speedway stuff happened. He'll start next to Robert Frary. Jimmy Coleman will start next to Jose Gonzalez there in the 6th position. Tyler Dalton, Daniel Falkingham there in row number 4. Row 5 is where you'll see Byron Daly and Scott Simley.
Yeah, 11th starting spot tonight for Florida's Elliott Henderson. Stoney Benfield will be to his outside 12th. Arnold in the number 13 starting spot with Glenn Campbell to his outside. Justin Mons starts 15th here tonight. Outside row 8 is Mike Kelly. Doy Woods in the 28 making his return. 17th starting spot for Doy tonight. Mr. Speedway himself, Robert Beasley. In the number 10, he starts 18th, 19th starting spot tonight for Chad Coleman. And it's Tommy Ryan in the 99 starting outside row 10.
Row number 11 is where you'll see Andrew Teft and Mike Montesi. Joey Jatina, Ron Holyfield, they'll start there in row number 12. Row 13, as we go through 3 and 4, getting ready for the green flag, John Fowler and Doug Roth, Nelson Rivera, and Brian Macklin, Charles Woods, Josh Parker, and looking at the rest of the field here, Randy Yoakum, Doug Sigmund, Jose Medina, the hottest driver all of a sudden in Sim500, Brian Wortman in 34th, Gerald Livingston, and Ed Burrell going to be the 36 starters that get ready to go 134 laps of racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Green flag is in the air. 4th race in the playoffs. Green.
Wind it up, roll through the gears here, head to turn number 1 right now. Looks like Glazer going to jump out front and hold this field at bay as they come off of turn 2. He's got David Comstock, Kevin Brown right there behind him, and Coleman looking to the inside of Fryery in turn 3.
Yeah, I think this is a chance for this field as they get down into turn 3 to get kind of settled in a little bit here, because one thing we're going to talk about is the word loose tonight. Sounds like this car has had a lot of driving on the right rear. We saw a lot of it in the NIS sessions that were going on a couple weeks ago, and even tonight it sounds like that is what we're hearing about in this race, or in the practices and stuff like that this field has had, is a lot of looseness off the corners. But should mention our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. You can check them out online on Facebook. They're in the iRacing forums, and as I mentioned, their website is TrackCams22.com. As we got onboard cameras, track cameras in a battle here. Byron Daly, who's probably the hottest non-playoff driver in the circuit right now, takes the 5th position away topside from Joey Jatina, who's kind of just being patient there a little bit, and Tyler Dalton also there in this battle.
Yeah, right now everybody just kind of trying to settle in. Tyler Dalton's been running really well in that top 10, finding some pace in that number 19 NC811 org car. And, you know, everybody I think right now is just waiting for the tires to set in, to get a little bit of a feel, let the field single out, and then you're going to race. And just as soon as I say that, here comes Byron Daly to the charge, drives underneath the 54 of Jimmy Coleman. He's going to tuck into that 4th position. Coleman got a good run to the outside. As they head to turn 3, Daly looks like he's going to clear him and take that position and give chase to Kevin Brown running in 3rd.
Yeah, Kevin DeBrown there, obviously coming off a race last night that some could say he easily could have won, but unfortunately, just circumstances didn't happen the right way as Kevin holds off in that third position. But Byron making moves on the top side right now, which is very interesting. But I think you're seeing a lot of tire conservation right now in this race. I think a lot of people are kind of nervous with what that right rear is going to do. Thankfully, unlike real life, we will not have 35 lap runs and entire blowouts. We will actually have pretty good race runs here. But one thing I do want to point out, I just noticed this, Daniel Falkingham is all the way back in 36th, and he is 17 seconds off the lead. So I'm not sure if he actually started on pit road or what the deal is here, but I'll have to go back and review this. Yeah, you know what? I'm seeing down here, he was on pit road, so I don't think he made the start of this race, so I did miss that. So Daniel kind of giving everybody a head start, I guess so to say.
Yeah, we used to have a driver here that was well known in the Northeast named Frankie Schneider, and he used to beat the guy so badly that they used to make him start on the backstretch, stopped, and well, we're going to get a little Daniel Falkingham show here, just like that. But yep, started from pit road, and he is coming out of turn 4 right now as the leader goes out of turn 2.
As you see the 54, Jimmy Coleman make the move there on Tyler Dalton. So Tyler kind of falling back just a little bit. You see Mike Kelly back there, Elliott Henderson. A couple of these cars back here around the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th positions. And you see on the timing and scoring, every number in green is drivers that are in the playoffs. Those numbers signaling who are the playoff drivers. The numbers that are not in green, those drivers obviously are not in the playoffs. But Kevin, going into a race like this, how do you kind of go in mindset-wise? You got a car that you know is going to get looser as you go here. Do you just kind of put yourself at a pace and maybe race the track here for the first quarter, maybe half the race?
Yeah, this track shows a little bit of tire wear. You really have to conserve. If you run too hard in the front jackrabbit, you'll end up wearing your tires out, and it'll be really loose at the end of the run. These guys are known, as you know from the broadcasts, to get long green flag runs at a racetrack like this. And really, I think in the beginning, they're just settled in, trying to find some pace, get some comfort, and see if they can, eventually race the racetrack and gain speed. As we saw the 48 of John Fowler a moment ago, I was looking out the left side window here, sideways through the grass, came back, recovered the car at the start-finish line, and maybe lost a position there. And it just goes to show that at any moment, the car is run right on the edge, and it can step out and catch you quickly. These drivers have to be up on the wheel every lap.
Yes, they do got to be on the wheel every lap, and it's very tricky. I mean, obviously, especially when you have two different design corners. You got a very wide 20-degree banking over in turn 1 and 2, turn 3 and 4 at Texas, 24 degrees. So you've got to treat each corner different. You've got to almost approach every corner different width into the corner. So there's so many different I guess just elements as Byron Daly now up to second. So Daly is already up 7 positions from 9th to 2nd. So he is carrying that momentum from these last few weeks and showing why he is the hottest non-playoff driver, I would say, on the circuit right now. But Bentley Glazier, who has had some on and off good runs here, he's pulled out to 1.6 seconds in the lead here.
Yeah, Glazier so far has been on cruise control. Byron Daly, though, has just shown tremendous speed, and we're starting to see, as the laps wind in, a little bit of come and go. Some of these drivers easing back a little bit, others making their way through the field. Nobody's done it better so far than Byron Daly, though. He's trying to chase down the leader down the backstretch into 3.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of close racing going on. Let's go back here to 24th. I mentioned Joey Chatine. I got it mixed up with Tyler Dalton a little bit ago. He's back here battling with a couple cars. Robert Frary, we talk about the comers and goers. That 77 car, I think the anchor's been thrown out on it. He has fallen all the way back to 26th after starting 4th in the race. So not sure if he's just maybe pacing himself as looks like issues for Ed Burrell. Might have went through the grass a little bit there off turn 4. But he's back on track. He's actually going to lose a position to Daniel Falkingham there. And that is
Falkingham
back at 35th.
Back there. Coming up on last night's winner, the number 74, Brian Wertman. I had to step out last night after the race,
Right.
getting crashed, and I come back this morning and found that Wortman won, and I literally cheered out
Oh
loud.
yeah.
It was so funny to see
I
that.
know we're
Good
supposed
for
to
him.
be like broadcasters are unbiased as they're
Yeah.
supposed to be, but I've shared this story multiple times on here. I've probably beaten it into the ground more than people want me to talk about it. But oh, easy there, Eric Arnold about when facing the inside wall there off turn 4. That was
Yeah, I
almost
saw
bad. But
Beasley do the same thing, got sideways, slipped up, clipped the apron, went all the way up to the wall, but caught it before he got in and made contact, lost a couple positions.
but I was starting to say though was Eric or not Eric, but Brian Wertman. He and I have raced with each other on iRacing for 10 years. I remember he and I raced in a league. A guy named Nordgar had a league, and he always hosted races every night until like 3 in the morning. And yeah, there was that young 23-year-old at that time in me that
Yeah.
stayed up that late at night and then had to get up and do a morning show in radio at 6 a.m. Dummy. But you know, we stayed up doing that kind of stuff every night, and Wortman was right there with us, and we were racing and having a good time. Then I got into broadcasting, and you know, obviously the different races he's ran in and stuff, and obviously coming over here to Sim500 to see him here, and actually Scott Simley was a part of that stuff back in the day too. Is another car actually in the grass?
Yeah,
I'm trying. That's
54.
Holyfield, or no, is that Jimmy Coleman?
Jimmy Coleman sliding through the grass, and I think he's going to get a penalty there because he
Yep.
slid
In the pit
down
road.
on the pit road, but he caught the car, didn't hit anything, and they'll live to race again here tonight. But
Now, what's the rule, Kevin? You should obviously race here. What's the rule for that? Is there any kind of clearing for that, or do you have to serve that penalty? Because I mean, it is. I know some leagues have it where if you self-spin into the pits, like in that case, you have to serve the penalty.
yeah, typically the admins are racing here, and if you give them a shout and they make a call, they can clear your penalty and negate your ability to have to go to pit road here. And I suspect that Jimmy's
Right.
in the channel with a couple of the admins, so he'll get cleared for that.
I just wanted, and the reason why I bring that up is because there's some leagues out there, like I said, that if you self-spin into the pits, it's kind of a what's the quote? It's a you problem,
Yeah.
because you spun. Where if you're trying to avoid a wreck or somebody hits you into the pits, that's different.
In the
So
spirit of competition, they really don't want to penalize people. I mean, he didn't cause a caution. He was able to catch a car, and the unfortunate circumstance of sometimes admins just can't get the acumen to do it while they're racing or doing whatever they have going on. So, from that standpoint, it's not a guarantee, but I think in this case, seeing the 54 circling track, they were able to clear it.
look at what we got up front here. A battle for
Yeah.
the lead, and one
Good
thing
time.
I've noticed, and I saw this in practice too, the shifting going on here in the turn 1. Down to 4th gear as Daly gets right to the back end of Glacier. And I noticed he was in 4th gear almost to the end of the end of the back straightaway here. Lets it rev up. I'm surprised he's not getting back to 5th gear earlier here. Right to 5th end, and he rolls all the way around. Glazier's just going to let him go. Boy is
Yeah,
on
me
a
neither.
run.
Yeah, we noticed in the races here that it is advantageous to shift down. You can let the car slow down in turn 1 and 2, roll the bottom right along the white line, and then shift down. You get so much better drive off. The car doesn't lug, and it really gets a good run off the straightaway. You can run the RPM up, and usually when you just let off the gas to roll in, that's about when you're hitting 5th gear going into 3.
And a lot of people use that for a break too, going into the corners. That the downshifting, which is something I kind of feel weird about because you got to hit the revs at the right mark and all these different kind of things because you know you worry about blowing the engine up or wheel hopping or so many different elements that can happen in a car like that. But that's one thing here at Texas with again the different degrees of banking, the different radiuses of each corner. You definitely get those kind of things, but like you said, though, we're getting to the point in this race where the tires and the cars, the handling is really coming into play. I'm seeing comers and goers. I'm seeing 3 wide here. I'm seeing Richard Beasley fall through the field back to 19th now. He was up near the top 10 earlier in this race. I've watched Robert Frary fall back to 23rd. Doug Sigmund's had some issues. He's all the way back in 34th. So, I mean, so many different cars just having different handling issues right now, and it's just a matter of holding on as we see the battle here. This is the 6th position. Mike Kelly in that PPG car inside of Speedy Gonzalez there in the Smashburger mobile.
Yeah, they're side by side. A lot of drivers, when somebody takes a peek, they know that they can get the run on the high side, maintain a position, but other times you just roll up, let them go, pull in behind them. You lose so much time running side by side on an aero sensitive track like this that it's better to tuck in behind them, as we see Ed Burrell in the number 21 getting service down on pit road.
Yeah, it looks like he and John Fowler have come to pit road in this case. So, yeah, 24 laps in the books, and obviously this is the North Carolina 811 Cup Series, and tonight our pole sitter was Bentley Glazier, and I want to make sure I give the proper awards out and things like that, as Bentley did win the 811 Call Before You Dig pole award tonight. So congratulations to Bentley on the pole, first of the season, I believe, for that 18 car, and he's definitely showed the speed as he runs right here. P2 just lost the lead a minute ago, and he's got Kevin DeBrown right there behind him. But make sure you do call 811 before you dig. Of course, after we kind of talked about it a lot last week, Hurricane Ian unfortunately hitting the southwest coast of Florida and pretty much doing what everybody expected it was going to do, and pretty much it laid its mark down. And just a reminder, when you see power lines on the ground and those kind of things, you want to be careful. You never know if they're live or anything like that, and you always want to make sure, if you do have to dig for something, make sure you call before you dig, because you never know what could be underneath the ground.
Yeah, I used to be a 911 operator, and I really identify with the 811 service because people used to call us, and no matter what the service, whether it was police, fire, rescue, county road department, they would call us and we would dispatch the right people to get the job done. And 811, very similar service. You call them, tell them what you have going on, and they'll get the right team involved to get you sorted out there so you don't get yourself in an emergency.
There you see an 811 car making a pass right now. Justin Mons losing a position to Tommy Ryan. That's the 9th position right there. And let's actually step away for a quick second. We'll let you hear from the people of the 811 service.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway there. Just a reminder, again, call before you dig. Appreciate those guys from the North Carolina 811 for sponsoring the series. Of course, you see the Virginia 811.com number there on Tommy Ryan and a lot of the drivers, Randy Yoakum on there, Jeff Ryan, and drivers like that. And we'll do an update here in a little bit of where they're running. But majority, if not all the states, have an 811 service. I know Georgia has one. I know Florida has one from my previous time there. I believe Indiana has one, if I remember correctly, when I lived there. I've been around the map a little bit, but make sure you do call 811 before you dig, and especially those who have relatives in Florida, remind them, just be careful with those power lines on the ground. Even in a car, there's the old, what's the word I'm looking for here? The theory, I guess, for a lack of a better term, that because the car has tires, that it cannot electrocute you inside of a car. Be careful of that. That's all I'm going to say.
I always wondered about that.
Well,
and
they
what
say,
about low-profile tires now?
They say that you should not, if you're in an area where, like, you're driving a car and you've got power lines around you, they don't even move. Just keep the car right there where it is until somebody can get out there. You just never know. I mean, look at lightning. They say lightning can't strike a car. We've seen it, you know.
Yeah.
So, something else we've seen is great racing here. See some great battles here. Let's look here. 10th position. This is Scott Simley trying to hold off Chad Coleman. Coleman, unfortunately, had a run-in with somebody in this booth last night. Actually landed on top of him. Great catch, by the way. And but Chad tonight running in the 11th position, right in front of the 49 car of Justin Mons. But we were talking there during the little 20-second break we got about fuel mileage. Laps here are probably about 50 or so. One of the things that doesn't get talked about much in this next gen car is the fact that let me turn the audio on, by the way, for the cars. The next gen cars actually have a 20-gallon fuel cell. They used to have an 18.7, and then on the old Gen 5 car, it was 22, as Elliot Henderson has a moment in the grass. And now Charles Woods looks like playing the grass. So we're going to have some grass bills for people here, it looks like, before the end of the race tonight. But with the 20-gallon fuel cell and with the horsepower at 675, obviously looks like it's about 50 to 55 laps on the tank of fuel, so easily a two-stop race here.
Yeah, you can control a lot of that too by how you get into the you put it down, whether you coast the car into the corner. If you're looking for fuel mileage to see if you could split the race in half, banking on cautions or whatever, you have a lot of control of that. But boy, I tell you, look over here in turn 4, turn 2, you could just see as we watch these camera shots, the cars stepping out. I saw Chad Coleman about sideways underneath Justin Mons a moment ago. Mons got around him and is going through. And yeah, I feel a little bit like Ross Chastain with Chad Coleman. And he's a little Denny Hamlin, although I have none of the qualities of Ross Chastain. I'm joking with you earlier. I'm more like Cody Ware, but
oh boy.
Yeah. But these guys, this is the type of racetrack that you see the drivers, having been around Sim500 a while. Chad Coleman, the Tommy Rines, the drivers who on the long run find a way, the Mike Montesis of the world. They know how to get the car and save it. But Richard Beasley, another driver, really good on the long run. You start to see the cream rise to the top. And, you know, we have to have a Falkingham sighting. He's kind of quiet tonight, but he's made his way to 27th right now, battling with Chad Coleman back there.
He is 27th, but I should mention, if you look at the time, he has actually gained a second since he came off pit road at the start of the race. He was about 17 seconds back. He's got it down to 16. So he's rolling through the field, and he is maintaining with Byron Daly. So he's got the speed. The problem is, though, I think he's going to need help of, coming. But
yeah, don't say it.
Yeah, right now though, I mean,
he needs track position. He can only, if he's gaining a smidge every lap, he's not going to close in on the leaders. He's going to need a little help.
Right, and it's going to get tougher to pass these cars as he gets further ahead. I mean, right now he's up on the 90 car of Andrew Teft, and you see Andrew's racing him pretty hard there in that High Point Chase Briscoe paintmobile. And then, of course, right in front of him is another playoff driver, and there's Teft hitting the inside wall as Doug Sigmund has entered pit road. Looks like he's going to make a stop. But, yeah, so he makes that pass there, and look at the next car up ahead is the 54 of Jimmy Coleman, that's not going to be an easy pass. And then, I mean, you got Jose Medina in front of that, Stoney Benfield. So, I mean, there's plenty of good cars, and with a fixed setup, which basically means everybody has the same stuff in their cars, it's not easy to make passes like this. But 38 laps in, just over 100 laps to go. And now you see Josh Parker under attack from Tommy Ryan. This is the 8th position. Ryan starting to show a little bit of long run speed. Now, one thing I do want to point out, as we get into this run, we're 38 laps in, times have fallen off over 2 seconds since the start of this race. So that could be another rule where, I must ask you, in this situation, Kevin, do we expect maybe some short pitting to try to get on tires to jump some cars?
Yeah, I think the drivers are going to run it out and wait till they start seeing other drivers pit and just do what everybody else does. You know, I feel like once you see someone go, if you're running on older tires, you're going to lose a lot of track position if it stays green. There's another dynamic we haven't talked about here is the leaders going into turn 3. The end of the field is coming off of turn 4. If this continues to remain green, we could potentially get into a lap traffic mix here. But you're right, we're seeing a drop off of almost 3 seconds here, and fresh tires will really go a long way. It would be interesting to see somebody hit pit road and come out there with fresh tires and see what that dynamic looks like as they slice through the field.
But then, of course, playing a short pit, as a matter of fact, look at this, Mike Montesi. It's like he's listening to us. Comes to pit road. As Doug Sigmund's having all types of issues. I've seen him go off track about 4 times this lap, unfortunately. Poor Doug. But Montesi on pit road, I promise you he's down there. I'm just trying to get the right camera for you. Well, that kind of is. Oh, look at that, guys in tuxes.
There you go.
Who's got that pit crew?
They're just chitty-chatting over there.
Going to a wedding or something. There's Montesi on pit road. Lays the burnout down in that Kohler Ford. And looks like a 15 1-second stop. So we're going to see now what short pitting will do with this car. He should be able to roll out here and run laps about 30 to 31 seconds. And, you know, it's obviously going to tempt him to want to run hard here. But you got to be careful and preserve, because now you're laying yourself at a place where once these other cars come to pit road, they're going to be a lot faster than you are.
This is where you get in your head, right? You say,
yes,
if I pit and I get fresh tires and I slice through,
Henderson
and
cutting the
then
grass
caution comes out, I'm going to make up some ground here, right? So you don't know, but I'm looking up front at Byron Daly. The guy's just had a rocket ship
He's
every
solid.
week.
Mm-hmm.
He's out by a second and a half almost over Glazer, who's been also fast as of late. Just amazing how much consistency and speed Daly has shown lately.
Yeah, Byron's been fast every single week. And the only reason, for those who are watching, like, well, why isn't he in the playoffs? Well, the reason he didn't make it is because he didn't run enough races. He had plenty of points to be in. But by the rule, you had to have run 17 races at the last race of the regular season. And he had missed it by, I think it was 2 starts, unfortunately, in the end. So that's why he's not in the playoffs. But you see, obviously, he's shown the speed that'll get him there.
You're just picking up the camera here where the 81 slid underneath in turn 3, tucked under, drove off and passed Jose Gonzalez. He picks up that 7th position, moved Gonzalez back to 8th. Right behind him is Mike Kelly, who's right on the tailgate. When they got side by side, he tucked up right in him, and it's a 3-car battle. And there goes sideways. The 81, we talked about how loose these cars are on throttle coming off. You're just running right on the ragged edge.
You know, one thing that probably did not help Parker there was Jose was up on his derriere. And now he's coming to pit road. Parker's coming in. So this is a playoff driver coming in.
Boy, did he yank it hard left and just danged it down, and here he comes trying to get to his pit stall, not slide through. Good stop, 4 tires, and fuel is probably going to be the call as right side tires go on.
Yeah, 4 and fuel easily. I didn't hear the audio. I don't have the audio on of the drivers, but I wonder if he had enough time to even say, hey, I'm pitting here.
Yeah, I didn't catch it as we were watching the action, though. He made an abrupt left, and he got it slowed down in time, hopefully. We'll see whether or not he picked up a penalty, but he's down and away, and he's just about to cross the stripe and get back to it.
Yeah, it looks like he'll lose about a lap or so. 15-second stop there, pretty good. So, but as we mentioned, we're coming up on that 50-lap mark. Ron Holyfield now coming to pit road. Ron running 30th, unfortunately not having the best of runs. And while we're on board with Ron here, he's going through a little bit of a tough time. He actually shared a little bit something with me this evening before the race, and want to send a shout out to his daughter Anna. Anna unfortunately is in the hospital, and when Ron opened up and talked to me about this, I mean, you could hear how much he cares about his family and how much it's affecting him. So if we all have a chance, you know, we obviously all say our prayers and stuff like that. Let's send one to the Holyfield family and to his daughter Ann, who's unfortunately in the hospital under the weather, and let's hope she can continue her fight and work her way back out. So definitely thoughts and prayers there with the Holyfield family, and a big shout out to Anna, who might be watching. Who knows? But yeah. He's family, and that's the cool thing about this league is this league is family, and I've learned that in the very short time I've been around here.
Yeah, I was talking to Ron, and you could just hear the concern in his voice and the hope that everything sorts out as Mike Kelly slid through his pit box, had to up right side tires going on, so the 2 getting in for service. And yeah, we're thinking about Ron, one of the nicest guy, and just fun to hang out with too. He cuts up quite a bit when you're chatting with him in the channel.
Yeah, he's and that's one thing I've learned about this whole series. I mean, there's so much personality. Well, now we're starting to really see pit road open up. Kevin DeBrown, Tommy Ryan, Scott Simley, Elliott Henderson, who has been more grass than a farming simulator player here in the last few laps. Unfortunately, I've been just reading how he's clipping the grass like for a second or two. So I don't know. He's fighting all over that car right now. But all these cars on pit road right at lap number 50. So this is where you're going to see potentially is now the second place car. Let's jump to him. Bentley Glazier and that Roland number 18 going to come in. And it's kind of interesting. I made this point earlier, Kevin, on social media. I do obviously broadcast for multiple different leagues. And on Saturday, I do an IndyCar league called VOR. And they had a guy who went out and won his first race in over a year and a half of racing. Then, of course, last night, we had the Brian Wortman win of how long he's been in here. And things happen in threes. So is tonight a night where somebody who's been here for a while without a win shocks the league and goes to victory lane at Texas in the playoffs? So here all of a sudden we see Bentley Glazier. Maybe one of them. I'm not sure how long he's been around, but here he could be somebody that goes to victory lane. You could have a yellow late in the race, and all of a sudden anybody could show up and win this race on tire strategy or gas or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Dalton, Gonzalez, Coleman are your top three. Byron Daly dropped off, and you're right. It could be anybody in this stack. You have somebody like Daly who's dominated the race, run into a problem somewhere along the line, and that opens the opportunity for David Comstock or Jose Medina, who's looking for a win in this 2022 season. So all things are possible, but right now it's Jose Gonzalez doing what Jose does. He tends to take care of his car really well. So does Chad Coleman. And I suspect these two, they've got some sort of strategy worked out where they're going to hang out for a little while as Tyler Dalton drops back to fourth.
Yeah, as you mentioned, so everybody has pretty much come to pit road up to the 7th position, and I'll let you guess who's in the 7th position and likely the last one who will pit on these tires. If anyone says Brian Wortman, go play a lottery ticket, because he's running 7th right now, and he is the last one yet not to come to pit road along with the 6 guys in front of him. Jose Gonzalez, Chad Coleman, Glenn Campbell, Richard Beasley, Jose Medina, Doug Roth, and Brian Wortman have not pitted. The leader right now off of pit road is going to be Bentley Glazier, who actually outran Byron Daly, 1 lap difference, made that difference. And you see it right there in front as they go by Gerald Livingston, put him a lap down. That's the separation right now between the 2 leaders. And Jose now coming to pit road, but Josh Parker only about 1.1 seconds back. But remember, he pitted about 6 laps before these guys. So he's going to be at a little bit of a tire deficiency and probably needs to preserve just a little bit to maybe balance out the tires with those other guys. But I mean, lots of things going on here. So 55 laps in, here comes Daly. The eventual battle for the lead.
We're about to have a door bumper clear. There it is. He's going to roll through here in turn 3 and 4, pick up that position again. And that car with a couple laps fresher tire, you can see how much faster. Before, just prior to him pitting, we saw Ron Holofield pit, and Ron got to his back bumper and drove off. And by the time they got into turn 1 and out of turn 2, there was 15 car length separation. So fresh tires, massive advantage here for these drivers.
Oh yeah, I mean the leaders right now are 33.24s, 33.72s. I mean tires are falling. I mean look at Brian Wortman, he's literally falling right now to the guys on newer tires as he loses positions right now. And then you got the leaders running. Last time by, Daly ran a 30.99, so that's 2.5 seconds quicker than the field right now. Actually, let me back up a second. Yeah, it's 2.5. I want to make sure I got the math right there. Again, I went to school in Florida.
This is one of those awkward periods like kids at a prom where they don't know where to get. You have some drivers who pitted, others that don't. You only have 18 drivers on the lead lap right now, and some of them are hanging on there, and maybe some of them are wishing for a caution. Continues to be Gonzalez out front, and all the drivers who have tires just keep buzzing by him on the outside.
That's part of the strategy, and you got to be careful. You don't want to get ran over. You're almost mirror driving this whole entire time right now, looking back, looking at the F3, if you will, or the relative as it's called in iRacing, that you look over and you can kind of see who's where. because, you know, with them going, what, 3 seconds faster, let's think about 3 seconds in an entire lap. That means every corner you're losing a second and a half.
Yeah.
So a second and a half of speed, how much, you're looking at how many miles an hour there? That's got to be at least 20 mile an hour, probably faster in the corners. So, I mean, that's a pretty fast speed difference. And when you see somebody, you know, it's about 1.3 seconds back mid-corner, you've got to almost expect, okay, let me just hold my lane here because they're coming. I mean, look at Falkingham right here. I mean, he about just ran him over, and he was about a second back mid-corner.
The word is predictable, right? When you're in this position where you're 3 seconds slower than everybody else, you need to be predictable.
Yes.
If you see somebody coming, you got to leave the outside lane open if you're favor in the bottom. It's just one of those knacks that you have when you're running in this situation. But Falkingham, he's 30 car lengths out. We just saw him drive by. The speed differential here is astonishing. Sometimes drivers get caught unaware of how fast, where they make the wrong decision or to the point they don't know that they're there. It is a chess match sometimes trying to run this way.
Look at this battle right here. This is the battle for the eventual lead. It's 4th, 5th, and 6th as Kevin DeBrown has joined the other two of Glazier and Daly in this battle for right now the 4th position. It's 11 seconds back of Gonzalez, Coleman, and Campbell, who are waiting to come to pit road. There is, I don't know, Kevin maybe got a little loose there, but they kind of spread out here for just a split second. But the battle is definitely on right here.
Yeah, what's astonishing is we're on lap 62 already.
Right.
You guys are flying. They're flying. They are just shredding this track as to how fast they're going tonight.
One of the things I've talked about, and I've said this so many times, is you go into a race of, and this is any series or any official race or anything on iRacing, and it's amazing to me how you get out here into a practice session and you're spinning everywhere, you're wrecking everywhere because the car is so loose, but yet you get to a race and it seems like the looser the setup, the better the race is. For the sake of, it seems like people kind of use their head more than a car that's predictable and tight. When you would think common sense wise, it's like, okay, that's backwards.
There was some discussion about practice last night. I'll say a name, Donnie Leah, and everybody was kind of distraught at him and his behavior. But at some point, somebody made a really valid point. As you see a battle between Daly and Glazier, Daly is pushing him down the back straightaway here. He ducks down underneath. Glazier still holding him in, but leaves that bottom line in. You know, they were saying practice is for finding the edge. But on the race, you don't want to run at the edge because there's too much to lose.
Right.
So you're right. You know, practice tends to be a little, sometimes dodgy is the word I'll use, is Daly is able to execute that pass, slides down underneath Glazier. And the reason that's important is only Jose Gonzalez is left to go to pit road before Glazier picks up the lead here. But you're right. It's amazing to me how much car control these drivers demonstrate in this, even though how many times have we seen them sideways in Elliott?
Or
It keeps
in the
coming to us.
Yeah. Well, and here all of a sudden we notice Kevin DeBrown has fallen off the pace. He was right there battling Daly and Glazier, and now all of a sudden has fallen back almost a second and a half and just lost a spot to David Comstock here for the 4th position. So move Kevin back a spot. You wonder if his handling has all of a sudden just come back to him in that situation. But yeah, it's so interesting to see how this all plays out as Coleman and Campbell have all come to pit road. So now it's literally just Gonzalez and I want to say Wortman have, let's see, Richard Beasley's not come to pit road, Doug Roth has not come to pit road, and Brian Wortman. Now, let's throw this window out there, Mr. Kevin. We're at lap 67 right now in this race. If these leaders can go 3 more laps, somehow go 70 laps on a tank of fuel, we all know what 70 times 2 is.
Yeah.
Do we have a potential fuel mileage race on our hands here?
I'm going to say yes. And the interesting thing is how Gonzalez is able to run a few mileage race while leading, because you know how much fuel you
Right.
burn. I'm not sure if some of the other drivers on that strategy, Beasley and Roth, for example, are tuck nose to tail to each other and have somewhere along the line, unawares to us, been paying attention to this few mileage race. But, you know, there's another storyline. Glenn Campbell and Chad Coleman ran almost to that time frame. I wonder now how they'll fare it out in this as time passes.
And Daly did get by. You saw there Gonzalez for the lead, Glazier by for second there in turn 3. So officially Jose Gonzalez all the way to lap 69 here in the third position. You know, this might not be a winning strategy as Brian Wortman's coming to pit road, Doug Roth on the pit road here. So you've got cars here that have pretty much made it to the halfway point on the same tank of fuel. Now, the biggest difference, I think, and it's a very underrated difference at this point in this race, is the fact that you do have one pace lap that you run before that green flag comes out. That does, believe it or not, burn about a tenth or so, maybe 2/10 of fuel out of the car. So this could be a situation where, yeah, these guys could make it all the way on fuel. And there's Gonzalez finally on pit road right there. And you see Doug Roth leaving pit road. So we've got ourselves a potential situation on our hands here as Tommy Ryan looks inside of Kevin Brown. That's for fourth.
Yeah, when we ran the NIS race, I remember clutching the car on the pace lap, and I made it to one lap before halfway, and I was able to make it to the finish with just one stop. Tire strategy, though, no good. Just didn't work as we crossed halfway. Everybody else who had pitted multiple times was faster, so
it's just a matter of how can you pace yourself. So yeah, we're at the halfway point here in the
26 got lapped, right? So we know that
yeah, Gonzalez did go a lap down, yes.
From a timing standpoint, that's not going to work out too well.
But he will have fresh tires than everybody too here, so he should be able to unlap himself. Right now he's about 8 to 10 seconds or so off of the leaders. He's over here in turn 2 right now, going down the back straightaway, and as we look, the leaders are coming out of turn 4, so he's about half track back. But should easily be about 1 second to 2 seconds faster as we go here, as he should have about 20 lap newer tires when all is said and done here. So, all right, let's take a moment. Let's kind of go through the field here, a little through the field as they call it.
It's the same thing,
and
yeah.
It's going to be more of an NC811 through the field, as we're going to go through and focus a little bit on the drivers that are sponsored by the North Carolina 811 or Virginia 811. And let's start with the guy that obviously has been the best so far this evening, this 99 car, Tommy Ryan, running in the 4th position. He is 5.9 seconds back, started 20th and is running up in 4th. Had a great run going last night too, and then unfortunately had some of the worst net code I have ever seen in iRacing, and literally had me thinking of what could potentially have happened, and I actually came up with some kind of engineering hypothesis that people actually thought, hey, you know what, it made sense, and that part kind of shocked me, because usually whatever I say even right now don't make sense. So Tommy Ryan running into 4th position right now. Tyler Dalton, the 19 car, started 7th and runs right there in 7th in his 811 car, that number 19, having a good solid run for him. Mike Kelly, an associate sponsored 811 car. You see him right down there in that quarter panel right under the Menards car. That's him in the 9th position. So 3 of the 811 cars up there in the top 10 as we speak right now. And he's not an 811 car, but let's go ahead and make a pit stop here at the 12th position. There's Daniel Falkingham as he slowly matriculates through the field. Just got past Scott Simley there, so just a quick pit stop there where he is. Joey Jatina, 16th position. He's got 811 all over his car. Even got the colors and everything, as he runs in 16th right now. And he started 23rd in this race. So we got those guys. We got Randy Yoakum. Randy, obviously a big advocate of the 811. Actually, part of the reason they're a sponsor here. Randy is running on the tail end. Actually, he is a lap down in the 25th position right now for that 8 car. And I see, is Jeff Ryan in here? I thought I saw him earlier, but I do not see his name. So Jeff Ryan not here in the race tonight. So yeah, I think I've covered everybody.
Stoney Benfield?
Is Stoney Benfield in the 811 car?
I believe he is.
Taking a look here, Stoney right now in the 19th position. If not, he's getting a shout out. There you go. Stoney Benfield right there in front of the leader, as a matter of fact. Robert Ferrari, the last car in the lead lap there in the 77. But there's, if not all, most of your 811 drivers running up in the lead lap or a lap down in the race right now, as we're caution free, 77 laps in, 63 to go. And what has been fantastic, it's funny because Joey Jatina says to me, hey, you might want to prepare. It might be a boring race. We might be out here just running green flag laps the whole time. And I said, that doesn't mean it's going to be boring. We'll find things to talk about. Worst case scenario, I'll grab my TV, I throw in the Animal Planet, and I'll call that. Hey, look, it's an elephant searching for a lion. You never know.
I had a broadcaster once talking about ducks.
They work. Worst case scenario.
And the aerodynamics of the V shape.
There's a league on Friday nights that I've had to do a couple of recorded broadcasts because I got stuck working, and they had a lot of cautions in a race at Michigan. So I ended up going to find a theme park over in outside of the racetrack off Highway 12 called the Prehistoric Forest. It took me like 5 cautions to find it, but I finally found it. Here in Texas, I kind of know, if you go down near Arlington, there's a Six Flags water park down there. Of course, you got all the stadiums in Dallas. I mean, there's plenty of things for me to talk about.
Yeah, it's hot there. You need a lot of water stuff.
So, I mean, I could find something. I could go down to College Station and show you what's left of the World Speedway if I had to. We ride with Robert Ferrari, who just went a lap down. So, I mean, there's plenty of things to talk about, but this has been fantastic racing. We've had passing. We've had lead changes. We've had pit strategy, and we're going to have pit strategy all the way to the end of this race, it appears. It might not be a winning strategy, but for some of these guys who are playoff drivers or not playoff drivers, it gives them a chance to win this race. But as per usual, 9 of the top 10. I was wondering if he was watching. You're not able to see this in chat, Kevin. But the league owner of the Friday Night League, the All-American ARCA Series, he just literally said, and I quote, "Oh God, don't go on Google or tourism again." So, he'll tell you how entertaining it was. But hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yep, been there and done that. You know, I'm looking at Byron Daly here coming out of turn number 2. He's not been able to shake Glazer.
Oh yeah.
Glazer's just hanging back there stubbornly, about a second and a half back, pacing him. Comstock's dropped off a little bit. He's 3 seconds back. Ryan's 5 seconds back. 7 seconds back for Kevin Brown. Josh Parker, after that early pit stop, he's been hanging tough at 9 seconds back, 11 seconds back. You know what I call this is conveyor belt racing. We have race cars at every inch of this racetrack, and you know that means the leader is dealing with things. The 26 streaks by Glazer, trying to get a lap back. The car that I took note of is the 38. About 6 laps ago, he went around your leader, Byron Daly, to come back to the lead lap.
Mr. Coleman.
He was one that stretched the fuel. Leader at the line right now, the 38 is coming out of turn 2 to the backstretch. He's almost picked up half a racetrack climbing through these guys, and he potentially has what it takes. So we were talking about speed over time. If you have a driver like Chad Coleman, who has run almost to the center of the race, I don't believe he made it to halfway, but he was close, and he has enough speed to get there. He could potentially be a spoiler towards the end of this thing and sneak away a win.
Yeah, just looking at the timing and scoring I have here. He pitted at lap 64. He is actually the highest of the drivers that pitted from lap 60 on. He pitted at 64. The next closest person is Glenn Campbell, 19th. Last time by, he ran a 41. The leader ran a 78. However, the one thing I did catch as we were going, as you were kind of going there, I was kind of looking through lap times and things like that. I've noticed that Tommy Ryan has been one of the fastest cars during this run. He has not really lost any time at all. He's sitting right there at 5.8 back. When we went and did the 811 through the field, he was 5.9 back. Yeah. So he's been running right there at the pace of these guys. Josh Parker, you got to be impressed with him. because his lap times are right there with the leader now, and he pitted some 6 laps before him. So he's been able to hold on. But the guys we need to watch is the guy that just unlapped himself, Jose Gonzalez. He pitted there at lap 69, so he's got to go 71 on a tank of fuel. He is the one car right now on the lead lap that has pitted and is at that midway point. So this could fall into a Jose Gonzalez victory here if he's able to do that. You see him right there in front of the leader right now.
Yeah.
So
the great news for him is that we know he can make it to the finish. If there's yellow, he's still on the lead lap.
Matter of fact, let's go on board here and let's. I want to listen a little bit to how he's letting off at the first stripe, which is about where I normally would, even when I'm running a regular race here at Texas. Slowly rolls back to the throttle as Doug Sigmund jumps to pit road there. Not sure what happened to him. He's staying in 5th gear. That helps you fuel mileage. Yeah, he's literally just coasting through the corner and just rolling back to it. He even could potentially, if he wanted to, he could shut the engine off right here and just let it ride to turn 1, because you use so much brake, and it's such a, yes, it's a very wide corner, but the radius of it is very tight, and you have to scrub so much speed off. You could almost shut your engine off over in that corner. As let's jump up here. We got a battle for 4th here. Don't want to cut off what Jose's doing there, but I just caught this out of the corner of my eye. It's actually a battle for 5th, but Kevin DeBrown and Josh Parker battling.
Talk about the will of 2 stubborn drivers. These 2 are always have been rather feisty at times between the 2 of them as hard chargers. You just throw EJ O'Rourke in here, who's not here tonight, and you would have the trifecta, but it's a lot of fun to watch these guys mix it up.
Yeah, it's, Kevin is... now, if anybody... You mentioned the Ross Chastain thing. You could maybe say Kevin is the closest that consistently races here, as Mike Montesi comes to pit road here at lap number 190, actually, right at 50 to go. So he, once again, short pitting the field here. But you could say that Kevin DeBrown, without making people angry, because I've never really heard Kevin make anybody mad, would be the closest to a Ross Chastain when it comes to driving style.
Yeah, so let's vote our top 5 Ross Chastain style.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
We've mentioned these 2. You got EJ O'Rourke. I throw Brian Macklin in there.
Okay.
Who's the other candidate you might?
Trying to remember who I called last night. Who I said last night in the truck race. There was somebody I referenced Ross Chastain to, the way he was driving out there. About maybe.
I have a driver.
Josh Parker, maybe.
Well, yeah, Josh Parker's in this mix.
Right. I just remember the moves he was making last night, and I'm like,
oh, Parker's sideways in front of.
Oh man!
But I'll tell you, I just love. Again, it might be conveyor belt, but that shows you just how hard these guys are running.
He cut him a break too,
Kevin.
Kevin.
The hair off each other. I think he did too, because he could have cleaned them out.
Let's see, another driver that could potentially be Eric Arnold. There's your other one.
Eric Arnold? Nope, I was going to go Mike Kelly.
Well, I say Eric Arnold because he makes some very aggressive moves, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but that man will make some moves, and I've heard people say, I don't want to say negative things, but I've heard people be frustrated or angry with Eric, and I think Eric understands that and knows that. As we got this battle here, Chad Coleman with Joey Jattina, Scott Simley, or Elliot Henderson. This is a gaggle right here. This is all from 14th back to 16th position.
Yeah, there's just little battles all over the racetrack. And, this is a plug for going to an actual NASCAR race. I was at Bristol 2 weeks ago.
I did see those photos, yeah.
You see so much that TV doesn't show. No offense.
No,
right?
no.
But it's one of those things that these guys, you don't understand how hard they race for positions back in the field. It's
a balance. And I've talked about this so many times. I actually do a podcast for another series, and we've talked about this. Mike Kelly's on pit road now from the 13th position. It's kind of like other sports that you go to. You know, when you have TV coverage doing what it does, you know, you've got the balance of that versus the balance of going to a race. And I think you look at the NFL, for an example, they've gotten to a point where it's actually better to watch it on TV than go to a game.
Yeah.
Because of, one, the prices, because of all the commercials and all the breaks that the games take and things like that. A race to a point has almost gotten to that because of more the cost than anything else. Mr. Falkingham's in the top 10, by the way, now, as he's coming up on the back of Justin Mons. And saw him getting a little dancy there through turn 2. I want to listen here. Let's ride on board. But yeah, my point to that is, though, is the cost to go to a race, to get a hotel room. If you want to go to multiple races and that kind of thing, you're looking at spending $300 or $400 for a weekend somewhere. You bring up Bristol just now. I'm not going to make you go into details of like how much you spent or anything like that, but let's be real, you probably spent a decent amount of change.
No doubt.
You know, so.
But my advice to anybody is you've got to make it a full saturation weekend. Get to the track early, go through the midway, go see all the driver interviews, catch the shows, go into the pit road, go to the ARCA race, you know, if they're having one, all of that stuff. I mean, fully saturate the weekend. You'll have a total blast.
Kevin DeBrown on pit road here. And of course, I think of the F1 race that happened in Miami a couple months ago. You mentioned merchandise and things like that. You go to a race, you got to get an event, something, or your favorite driver. They were selling hats at the F1 race for $85. Right?
Yeah. No comment.
I mean, how much was it to sit on the boat in the middle of a fake river or ocean or whatever?
I did get myself a Sundrop t-shirt, though.
Nice, Dale Jr.
With
style.
the 3 on the back. That's going to be a collector's item someday.
As Falkingham on pit road. And you know what? Casey just brought up the point here in chat, and it's a perfect point. Hockey might be the only sport you could actually go in person. And I can say this because I've been to a bunch of, when I lived in Indiana, me and Buddy lives in Fort Wayne. We went to a bunch of Fort Wayne Comet games. And it wasn't NHL, but still, even minor league, I mean, the action is always there. They always have something going on, even during intermissions, during timeouts or whatever. There's always something going on. And even when there's pauses for like an icing or something like that, they're right back to it.
Yep.
You know, and unfortunately, an NBA game, you spend more time in the last 2 minutes of a half than you do the other 44 minutes of a game. You know, unfortunately. As we got more of the pit stops happening here, don't want to cut that short. 40 laps to go.
In there on pit road. And I have to ask you a question. Do you think that people do what Daniel does? When Daniel goes to pit road within a lap, everybody goes in.
No.
I kind of have that sense sometimes.
Not here, because I see everybody pretty much doing 50-lap runs. 50 in here, we're at lap 100. So, Daly's on pit road now, Comstock, Tommy Ryan. And another reason I say no to that is if you do the same things Daniel does, guess where you're going to finish?
Yeah, behind him.
Right.
Of course.
So it's like, why?
But finishing behind him is pretty normal, but at least you can get second.
But give yourself a chance to beat him. Give yourself a chance to outrun him. But let's look here. As we talked about, this is going to be probably the big moment of the race here. Byron Daly's on pit road, 4 tires and fuel, with 40 laps to go. So let's, as we get this all cycled out, I'm going to do something I get to do sometimes on a broadcast, and I feel this is one of the coolest features and one I don't use enough in our race. And let me take off the overlay part of the screen over there to the far right. You're going to see me bring up the top 10 when it comes to pit stop lap. Bada bing. So let's look here where everybody is pitted. As you see, Coleman pitted at lap number 64. And then you see right behind him, Jose Gonzalez at 69. Bentley Glazier at 99. Byron Daly at 101. Those guys are about 16 seconds back. So, with that said, more than likely, are Coleman and Gonzalez going to win this race? Probably not. But they could steal track position here. Coleman's actually on pit road now.
Yeah, he's going to give up the lead here and hand that over to Jose. Now, one of the plays is, and there it is.
Oh, caution! It's
Caution
Byron
comes
Daly!
down, and Byron Daly sliding through the grass. There was somebody sideways in front of him.
Andrew
just
Teft,
prior to
maybe.
that.
Yep, Andrew Teft's over here in the grass. Oh my gosh, this race just got flipped.
That's what I was going to say for Gonzalez. If a caution comes out, he's got the track position, and bingo. They just called his number.
This is, yes, it's an advantage, but at the same time, did you want this race to go about 10 laps? I say that because
Yeah, those who just pitted may
they
just
would come back to pit road for tires. That's where I'm thinking this, and not to mention 2 stops, 3 sets of tires. Everybody's got 1 set of tires left now who have come to pit road here. So yes, this is tricky right now. But let's go back and see what brings out the first caution, lap 104 in this race, and it looks like it starts with the Andrew Teft. I'm going to use the Ken Squire line here. The Andrew Teft automobile.
Automobile. The automobile of Andrew Teft.
Yes, Ken Squire. Love that guy. Let's see. Comes off turn. Oh, starts getting loose mid-corner. Trying to... Oh, no! Wait a minute. Who did you call yours? Oh, and Daly caught the wall there.
Yeah, Daly went wide, swung, slapped the right side off the wall, and the question is, will he have to pit?
Kevin, who did you call yourself earlier?
Yeah,
That
51.
NASCAR driver-wise.
Cody Ware.
Does this look familiar? Goes into turn 3 and 4, loses the back end, overcorrects it to the right, and whammo.
Just, we got on the apron, and once you're on the apron and the car de-wedges, this is what happened to me at Darling when I killed Chad Coleman.
I was more referencing Cody Ware here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. As we got
Good to see
some cars.
Cody Ware race this weekend. I was a little worried. Man, what a huge hit he took.
Yeah.
All the talk about the cars and such, that crash that Cody Ware had, the amount of damage to the front of his car is the most significant hit I've seen in the next gen cars. And
He hit that flush.
really, yeah, just happy to see him, even though he was wearing a boot.
Yeah, he was on crutches and everything this weekend. But, no, I'm just watching the replay, watching Daly hit that wall right there. He actually hit it pretty flush, so I think he's going to be okay. However, leaders did come to pit road here, and those guys being the cars of Gonzalez and others all coming to pit road at this mark in the race. And it looks like Jose going to come out in about the 7th position, but others that did come to pit road also here is we're actually going to go back and show you the pit stops here of what took place. So there's Gonzalez coming in that Smashburger car. Smashburger's awesome, by the way. All by his lonesome there. He's going to bring some others. I saw Tyler Dalton come to pit road. Problem is he had such a big lead that he could have taken his time and do whatever there. You see Byron Daly comes to pit road, get damage fixed. Mike Kelly. Let's see Kevin DeBrown, Dalton, Richard Beasley. And that the Justin Mons car and then Roth up there in the STP 43. So interesting here. All right, so we jump to the top here. I want to look at the front of the field because who could potentially get wave arounds here and go back on the lead lap? Now, look at all these cars up here in front. The leader is
Glazer.
that blue and orange Glazier car. So everybody in front of him, I see Glenn Campbell, I see Jimmy Coleman, I see a whole lot of cars here. It's
Mons.
I'm trying to jump up here to the pace car almost. There's Coleman.
Campbell.
But a whole lot of cars are about to get back on the lead lap here and use the wave round. There's Montesi. There's the 22 of Rivera. Scott Simley right there. Brian Wortman's going to go back on the lead lap. There's a lucky break again. Elliot Henderson, Jimmy Coleman, Glenn Campbell. It looks like everybody from 17th on back. Nope, 16th on back because there's Chad Coleman up there at the head of the field. So he'll get the wave round also along with Ron Holyfield. So a lot of cars are about to cycle around here and take the lucky doll, or take the wave around back. And before we go green, let's take a quick second here and let's talk about the 811 Virginia, North Carolina 811. Let's give a little word from them real quick.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
Back we are here at the Texas Motor Speedway virtually on iRacing. 33 laps to go. And the caution that kind of changed this race around right here. Bentley Glazier leads David Comstock, Tommy Ryan, and look who has snuck up to the 4th position after starting on pit road pretty much. Daniel Falkingham starts 4th. Josh Parker, Eric Arnold going to be your top 6. Jose Gonzalez restarts 7th with those fresh tires after being the leaders. We come to pit road, and we've had so much good green flag racing tonight. I think it's a great opportunity for us to turn it up from Texas. Say that 3 times fast. And as I've started to kind of show you the last few weeks here, the old fan cam. This is something cool with the Track Cam 4 Gourmet guys at TrackCam22.com. They just find their way into a seat, and this is what it looks like watching a race at Texas Motor Speedway. As you see Glazier and Comstock battle right there to the dog leg down to turn 1. About 10 rows up or so, I would say, which I learned from Homestead. I remember sitting for a couple of years right on the front straightaway at about 10th row, and it was perfect eye level. And look at this, perfect eye level. Watching the cars, see side by side there at about the 7th position. I think that's Beasley underneath Falkingham, who's falling back there on that outside lane. So, yeah, this is what it would look like if you were watching a race at Texas Motor Speedway. First things first, you'd be melting. But the other thing that's key here is, well, you'd probably be enjoying a good race right now because that's what we have.
Yeah, I'll tell you, these guys have turned up the wick. You see everybody running nose to tail. Before they kind of stretched out, there were little gaps, bubbles. Not anymore, as we see Jose Gonzalez out the front of his windshield. He sees the 99 of Tommy Ryan duck underneath the 39 of, well, there he is, Daniel Falking running 7th. What happened to him? He restarted in 5th. We thought he was going forward. He was up to 3rd, and now he's dropped back a little bit.
Well, remember, Daniel is actually, he and Bentley Glazier have the oldest tires right now of anybody in the top 10. Daniel pitted at lap 98, Bentley at 99, so that's where you're able to see Comstock and these guys. They're going 3 wide off 2. They better settle it out real closely here because there is a bump in turn 3 that we have not even said a word about, by the way, at this track.
Yeah, the
up there where Mons is, he just hit it. Look at that car get loose on it. The underrated Texas bump.
Slipped up a little in turn 2, and Comstock went by, take over the lead.
Look who's second.
The 2 of Kelly slipped by, and then the 81 slipped by. So I have to wonder if the 18, the 39, some of these guys thinking running too hard here in the beginning and want to save a little tires for the end.
I think their tires have fallen off. I mean, they pitted at 99 and 98. The rest of these guys, 100 for Comstock, 105 for Kelly, 100 for Parker, 105 for Daly, 105 for Beasley.
Yeah.
The fresh tires are coming to the front now.
Yep, yellow's out.
Up caution. Trouble for Charles Woods, it looks like. And Jose Gonzalez is in it. Looks like Justin Mons may be involved. The car that everybody thought might be the one with the advantage here with the freshest tires. Unfortunately, the hamburger fell on the floor, if you will.
It almost looks like 2 incidents going on there. Gonzalez's car stepped out. He slid down and caught Mons, and the car in front of him, who was that? The 99 of Tommy Ryan also stepped out at the same time. 2 unrelated incidents.
Let's see where everything happened here, because it showed. Okay, yes, everybody's checking out. It's Tony Benfield. Oh, no. Charles Woods T-bones the 26. So it actually happened up ahead. Yeah, you're right. I was actually just trying to trail back to see where it all started. How do you like your steaks there? T-bone.
T-bone.
Let's see here. So, yeah, Mons underneath Gonzalez here through 3 and 4.
Gonzalez's car steps out here, just a touch right there.
Yep, and then Tommy gets loose, and then they hit each other. And then Mons gets into the wall hard. Everybody's trying to check up, Oh, hello.
Oh. Ding, ring the bell. Wow.
Simley, nice job checking up for the 26.
The mirror is broken on that car. Possibly, although he drove away pretty cleanly.
Leaders are on pit road. They're coming back to last set of tires.
Yeah, if you got them, you might as well smoke them, right? I really feel like we saw how much the impact was. That's almost a blessing for some of these guys that were on super old tires, because now they're even Steven.
And let's see, race off pit road. Josh Parker. Yes, Parker gets Comstock there. It was going to be close. Daly comes out 3rd. And you know, the drivers this actually paid off for is the 18 of Bentley Glazier and the 39 of Daniel Falkingham. This fell right into their hands, this caution did, because now they're back on the same level as these guys tire-wise. Now, we did have some people stay out. Mike Kelly, Tyler Dalton, Kevin DeBrown, all staying out, along with Brian Wortman. I'm pretty sure Wortman's coming to pit road here. As his last pit stop was lap 67, unless I missed a pit stop somewhere. Doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think these guys that are on 16-lap tires, they stick a fork in them. They're just not going to be able to play. Oh, they're all coming to pit road again. Am I missing something? Oh, I'm not on real time. Okay.
It happens.
But I think, you know, now let the fastest car win at this point. That's really what's going to play out here. And you do the Larry Mack trends of the race, you have to imagine that somewhere about 2/3 mark, you're going to see a caution. Cautions breed cautions.
They do.
And at some point, it resets the deck. All the tire wear, and fuel management, and all the stuff that we saw from the long green flag run goes out. Now it's just hammer down, boys. Let's have at it.
I unfortunately I don't have any trends. It's funny because I do have friends like Larry McScala here or whatever. But yeah, I don't have anything right now.
You see that yellow flag off the right side of your periphery vision? Don't let it get too far away from you.
I heard that.
I have a feeling that, we just saw in that last restart how tight everybody was, how they were tucked in for positions and challenging. We're going to see that all the way to the end. Right now, there'll be no quarter. Everybody's looking and hungry for a win. They know that it's race basically a dash to the finish, even though we still have 20-ish, almost 20 laps to go.
All right, I think I found a trend for you here. How about this?
Shoot.
All right, so last season was 150 laps that they ran. Daniel Falkingham won the race. Oh, by the way, led 63 laps in a 150 lap race.
That's my twin brother's favorite phrase, oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way. Adam Gilliland won the pole for that race, finished 30th.
Yeah.
There was only one caution in that race, so we've actually doubled up on the cautions. That's about all I got, trend-wise.
You have to say, by the way, the coolest thing about this track is how the lights blink on the front stretch.
Yes.
And they have that at Bristol, too. It's really
They used
neat.
to actually blink down at the bottom of the wall, too. And I think they took those out when they repaved. Now, maybe we could say the person that won last season started 7th. So let's do that. Who started 7th tonight? Tyler Dalton. And Dalton runs 7th, or runs 2nd right now.
Yep.
Let's go with that one. So is Tyler Dalton the insert bank here one to watch?
Tyler Dalton is like the fastest qualifier in the world. He's like a savant.
He's fast on super speedways. He's really good on super speedways. Yes.
If he can run qualifying laps to the finish, that's not something out of the question here. There's one other thing, Chris, that we got to call out here. Texas Motor Speedway. There is a lot of rumor that this track is going to change. This might be the last time we run this configuration.
I have heard the super speedway moniker used again, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I said this last night. I said it on the podcast I've been on before, and I'll say it again now. Any track from Dover to Auto Club, with the exception of Darlington, should have progressive banking. You look at the best races that you have in all of racing right now, outside of Auto Club Speedway, is on progressive banking. Green flag comes out. Mike Kelly brings him to the green. Tyler Dalton, and here comes everybody behind him with fresher tires, about 10 laps fresher. Josh Parker jumps topside in that 81 car. He's going to get around for second. Here comes Byron Daly, 3 wide, almost 4 wide. And here comes Parker to the lead.
Just 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 stacked all the way through. We saw Eric Arnold make a huge charge underneath Kevin Brown. And Tommy Ryan's trying to find his way. Right now, it's really about real estate grab. Can you find the hole to shoot?
You got to send it in these corners, and that's another thing we talked about. How do you counter a loose setup? Drive it deep into the corner and put the air pressure on the right front. Try to tighten it up a little bit. As Parker, Daly, Richard Beasley up to the top 3. A former super speedway champion in this series.
This track drives a lot like a super speedway out there in 3 and 4. You need a little more finesse. One car
Glazier got loose
over there.
That's Glazier. He got real loose off the corner there. Comstock going to look inside of Beasley as he threw a block a little bit on Falkingham. Business picking up 30-39. Falkingham last lap run the fastest lap of the race. I think everybody's to the point now where it's like, gotta go.
Yeah, they've somewhat single filed out here, but you do see some drivers in the back still charging. You see the 12 of Simley driving underneath it. What happened to Tyler Dalton? His car, he's what, back to 12th right now? What's going on with the 19?
Remember, he was on the older tires here. He restarted lap tires of Dalton lap 105, so he's actually got about 10 lap older tires. when it comes to green flag, and that's the same thing for these guys that stayed out. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
they're probably playing here is maybe another caution at about 5 or 6 to
Almost
go,
saving your
and maybe
tires.
throwing on another set of tires. That
Yeah.
could be what they're doing here. So they're going to play the late caution trend here potentially. As you see Daniel getting to the outside of this 13 car, and you see Justin Mons mentioning in chat, obviously into a must-win now at Talladega to even have a shot, which, by the way, it is not a win and get in, as Falkingham completes the pass and crosses over Beasley.
I think he scared Beasley there for a minute. I saw Beasley bunch up in the seat. Beasley is sideways.
Oh,
just
Comstock
gets
leaned on
the
him.
car.
Woo! Here comes Arnold. Hey, Arnold.
That was a shorts moment right there.
Code Brown.
Yeah, he's just back in the seat here and trying to get it going to his outside, which makes it even more nervous. Arnold going to take the position. Beasley in the Todd ride going to tuck right back in there behind him. Give the 5th position to Arnold. He's going to set chase to David Comstock. And yeah, here comes Falkingham. He's got
That sounded so thrilling. That was great.
well, you never count the guy out, but the fastest car all night long has been Byron Daly, and unfortunately we've lost the 18 of Glazer. He's just slipped back to 8th, lost the back position. Now the question is, does Daly have something for Parker?
Oh, I think they all got something here potentially for each other, but we should give a shout out to Daniel real quickly. Obviously, he's earned the right to be the guy to beat in this series, and not to mention he, I believe, has qualified for the next round of the Road to Pro Series, so he'll be in the Xfinity car, which I believe is the next round up for him. So congratulations on that. I know it took a couple of little factors to get it to happen, but you know what? You're in, you're in. It doesn't matter if you hit a ground rule dribble, a dribble in the infield, and you end up scoring a run and making it a home run out of it. It doesn't say that in the newspaper. It just shows a home run.
Yeah, it's no different when one of your local guys makes the big leagues. You
Right.
hate to see him win every week, but you'll certainly be sitting forward and watching and cheering him on when he gets up there. And I think he's got the talent to get the job done and the willpower, and we're going to see what happens with him. You know, I was looking through the pack trying to find out where Chad Coleman is. He's the, we were talking about those drivers who played that strategy of the long run. Obviously, the 26 didn't go his way, but Coleman, he's still hanging on to a top 10. Richard Beasley sitting in 6, hanging on to a top 10. So that strategy of running long didn't go wrong for them. They're still in the mix here as we close down the laps here at Texas.
Yeah, Coleman going around Beasley right now for the 7th position. How about that 22 car? They almost got squeezed into the wall there. Nelson Rivera got out of it, and that almost got ugly. And how about Joey Jatine up to the 10th position? Or 11th position, I should say, with Glenn Campbell.
There goes the 10 again into the wall.
He's almost some trouble. Hold on, boys.
I'll tell you, Beasley has had his hands full all night long. Just that car does not want to set over there and turn forward. Joey Jatine, man, he just underestimates his willpower. He's been a top 10 car coming all season long.
Yeah, he's definitely been fast, but something
Stealthy.
else. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And one thing we should point out, the top 3 are right on top of another now. All within 0.2 of a second here, 6 laps to go.
So how does this play out? I mean, you look at the 81, he's got clean air, but right now he's got the 06 on his back bumper. If they get side by side, that's going to bring the 39 into the mix. Little wiggle for the 81. I think he went down to protect the lane to make sure, and we're going to have a caution.
Oh, yeah, caution. Yep, caution is out. Oh, boy, right at 6 laps to go. We can call that trend if you want to. Ron Holyfield is the caution. It looks like turn 4 goes off. And I said, these guys are waiting maybe to 5 to go. Here you go. Let's see what brought it out. Ron Holyfield, the 1 car goes around. I was just about to say, that looks weird. It almost, I was wondering if Daly was playing defense, and that's why he was on the bottom. He did not want to give Daniel the bottom. And that's where it kind of put everybody nose to tail there. Let's see, the Holyfield, yeah, he gets loose, and just overcorrects it and absolutely smashes the outside wall. And you know what? Look at that. Okay, this is a perfect example right here of why you're seeing drivers getting angry in real life at this next-gen car. Okay, let's look at this hit he just took to the outside wall.
Yeah.
Professor Scala now.
Go ahead.
Let's look at what all got damaged on this car when he hit. He hits the wall. Yeah, you see some debris and stuff. Literally a piece of the right front.
Yeah, you would think that right front would be totally stoved in there from
Right,
that.
and you would think like pieces of the car would fly off and stuff. And that's the problem we're having with this next-gen car, is you have the car is not absorbing the shot. Instead, it's the driver absorbing the shot.
He's going to have about 8 minutes of damage there, though, the hit that he took. So I doubt we'll see him return to the race. Even though the car, the model, didn't show the damage, his car is toast.
All right, so I'm looking at the cars, and it looks like everybody but Brian Wortman, Kevin DeBrown, Richard Beasley have all have all stayed out. So that whole tire strategy I talked about, I was wrong. Go figure. But at least you do have these guys back here at lap 136 that are going to have 4 tires. They're going to try to get whatever positions they can get. There are two green-white checkers. This is actually going to end up being one of them. It looks like, oh, well, let's see. We're at 136 right now. We would have to get one to go this time for it not to be a green-white checker finish. And let's see, Parker comes up to the line. And the pace car lights are out. So, nope, they're on. So this will be a green-white checker officially. So they'll have one of 2 attempts here to finish this race under green, but only the 3rd caution here of the evening in what has been a pretty fun race to be a part of here.
I go back to where we were just before that caution came out. The 81 was a little loose off the corner with the 06 right on his back bumper. He went down low to protect the line. The 06 was tight. You have to imagine, if I am Byron Daly, my number one objective is get him on the start. You got to get him on the start, because if at some point he draws side by side with Josh Parker, that opens the door for Falkingham, for Comstock, for Arnold, somebody else to insert themselves into the race. They really want to get a breakaway and go get the clean air and drive away to the win here. They're just going to have to be absolutely wide open on the edge going into turn 1.
Which goes to the factor of spinning the tires on these.
And we saw Byron Daly, or maybe it was Glazer, spin the tires on the start. They've got, 18 laps on their tires right now, so that's not something that's out of the question, is it?
No, not at all. And so that's something we're going to have to watch here, as we'll get one to go this time by, and we'll get the green next time, which will be lap 139. Josh Parker's going to take the top side, which I think is actually a smart move here, because if he does spin the tires, 99% of the time on iRacing, when you spin the tires, the car goes to the right.
Yeah.
And in this case, he would spin to the wall, where Daly, if he spins the tires, he'll go right. Now, let's be honest here and not playing favorites. Daniel spinning the tires, probably not happening. I mean, he'll spin them, but he'll have it under control. So Parker's going to be the control car. So if anyone is going to be the first to spin the tires, it's going to be the 06, because he's going to react to Parker going.
He's just going to hammer down.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to, and then Comstock obviously be your other car. So, and then of course the other questions are, is Parker working with Comstock to say, hey, I'm going at this moment? So there's so many different elements on this restart here, but let's kind of go through it here real quickly. It is Josh Parker, Byron Daly, David Comstock on the outside of Daniel Falkingham, row 2. Row 3, Eric Arnold and Tommy Ryan. Row 4, Bentley Glazier, Chad Coleman, and Joey Jatina and Nelson Rivera. And this just came to my head really quickly. Brian Wertman was 7th last night when he won on the last lap.
Yeah.
Remember the whole 7th starting trend?
Yeah.
Here we go. Going to the green flag. Parker on it. Comstock spins him to the left.
Yes. It was a cerebral race in the beginning. Now it's an all-out good start for the 81. Gives him the position. They're going to tuck in nose to tail off of turn number 2. Here comes the 39 of Falkingham to the bottom. Little wiggle of the 6 for Byron Daly opens the door. Falkingham's going to take 2 going into turn number 3.
Yep, up to P2. Everybody so far so good. One car up wide. That's Gonzalez. Here comes Daly trying to get to the top side as Parker gets to the white flag. That is what he wanted to see. 1 lap to go here at Texas. Parker looking to go to victory lane in this 81 car. We got some action going on back towards 20th. It looks like some wrecking going on. Jose Gonzalez has gone around. This is all behind Josh Parker.
They're weaving and bobbing down the backstretch. The 31 of Arnold and Byron sideways, but it's the 81 coming off of turn 4.
Oh, and Arnold's going to go to the grass as Parker's going to go to victory lane and fire the 6-shooters at Texas. Falkingham finishes 2nd. Arnold's on pit road, spun backwards. I'm pretty sure they'll clear that black flag, and he'll finish 4th officially, I would think, here before he gets penalized. But what a finish.
Yeah, you just don't even know what to call at the end of that race. It was crazy. There was 20 incidents within turn 2 to turn 4.
Yeah, there was. And we'll show the replay of that here in just a second. But Josh Parker going to celebrate it and do a little Texas 2-step burnout style here. As he lays it down, and for just taking a quick peek at the stats this season. For Josh Parker, it's a 2nd win of the season in 26 starts. Congratulations to him on scoring a win here at the Texas Motor Speedway. His other win came back in July at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So 1.5 mile win here for the 81. Great racing overall.
That's not atypical for him, and he's won a championship this way too. I think he won like the first race at Daytona one year and then come back and won the championship. So don't count him out.
No, not at all. But that's round number 4. And once again, actually tonight, 2 cars finishing in the top 10 that were not in the playoffs. And look at that 10th place car. Kevin DeBrown. Remember, he was one of those that came to pit road and took tires at that restart. So he made the best of the situation that happened there. So let's go back, though, and let's take a peek here at what happened over in turn 1. I looked over and saw my timing and scoring going bonkers, and that kind of told me that somebody was wrecking.
It's almost easier to say what didn't happen.
Pretty much, and it definitely involved Jose Gonzalez. Watch him come out of turn 4 here. He's up there. He had that bump you saw. He kind of got loose there, and everybody here is just beating and banging for position. Oh, right there, Campbell and Simley come together. Add Montesi to the picture of wrecking there. Nice miss there by Roth.
Yeah, drove right through it.
Campbell involved in that. Montesi, unfortunately, these guys had to race back. And Scott Simley, unfortunately, would have destroyed car. And then here's the battle. You see Byron Daly gets loose. Arnold gets loose. They're all trying to fight it. Arnold gets up into Daly. And they all go spinning. That was definitely wild. Let's take a look at the final results here from Texas Motor Speedway as Parker, another playoff driver in victory lane tonight, a half second over Daniel Falkingham, who you could argue had the drive of the night all the way from starting on pit road to 2nd. Byron Daly 3rd, Eric Arnold, Chad Coleman gets a top 5. David Comstock 6th, Tommy Ryan, Bentley Glazier, Nelson Rivera, and Kevin DeBrown finishing in the top 10.
Yeah, just thinking about Comstock there in that slip, he was pretty fortunate to gather that up and hang in there. Joey Jatina finished 11th. Brian Wertman, 12th. Coleman 13th, Elliott Henderson 14th, 15th for Mike Kelly, Tyler Dalton soldiers on for 16th tonight, Randy Yoakum 17th, 18th for Richard Beasley, who put on fresh tires, and I think he got about 6 or 7 cars there at the end. 19th for Robert Friery, and it is Glenn Campbell after that little slip scored with 20th tonight.
Yeah, Mike Montesi, these guys involved in that last lap wreck with Campbell. Gonzalez, Simley, 23rd. Brian Macklin, not a good run for him, 24th. Stoney Benfield, Jose, as I like to say, Funky Cole Medina, finishing 26th. Charles Woods, 27th. Ron Holyfield finishing in the 28th position, 29th, going to Doug Roth, and 30th to Justin Mons.
Rounding out the field, Andrew Teff finished 31st. Doug Sinkman in the 32nd position, 33rd tonight for Gerald Livingston. Doy Wood pulled off early. He scored with 34th. 35th tonight for John Fowler. And shotgun on the field, Ed Burrell pulled out early, 121 laps down. He'll be credited with the final position, 36 tonight.
And a wild race here in Texas as a shootout, shall we say, brewed this evening in some fantastic racing. Let's talk to some of the drivers involved in this. We kind of usually have a little bit of an extended post-race show and have a little fun with this, and we'll talk to some of the drivers here. And let's start with our third place driver here, Byron Daly, as we'll bring Byron up here. I almost put him in the Sunday channel. Let's put him in the Monday channel now, if I can get it to cooperate. There we go. As Byron joins us here. Byron, great race for you. I mean, it wasn't exactly the results you wanted. Unfortunately, losing second there at the last minute, but you just actually, we're in the admin channel. I'm sitting here asking random questions too, and we're in another channel. We've been hanging out in the admin channel the whole entire time, and we just realized it. Byron, we put you up there in the broadcast channel. We're down here in the admin channel. But anyways, tonight, man, wild race for you. I think you arguably led the most laps. Might have had one of the best cars out there tonight. Lost a little momentum there on that restart and finished third. But definitely another great run for you and your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard not to be disappointed in that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I felt like I had the race in full control, and somebody kind of McDowelled themselves in front of me and like hitting the wall trying to miss them. So it's just one of those things, it kind of sucks because I really wanted to actually get another win this year, but we'll go to Talladega and see if we can do it there.
How much did that hurt your car when you hit the wall? Because it looked like you hit it pretty flush.
Yeah, it was like, in iRacing terms, like, it was like 12 seconds of damage. So I think they got it fixed up really well, but it's just one of those things. You lose track position at a time when everybody's going to start driving harder, right? Like the beginning of the race is kind of more of a chess game. People are trying to set themselves up, and you can kind of, weasel your way around if you play your cards right. Losing that track position with the cautions and not really getting a long run there, that did me in. Like, I think my best chance was when I was trying to set up Parker before that yellow came out. After that, my car was smoked.
Well, you did everything you could to obviously get yourself the victory lane, but talk about the setup out there, because obviously it's a very loose setup. I saw cars dancing everywhere. It seemed like, especially off the corners, how tough was it to handle and to take care of those the right rear and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I love when the setup's like that. Obviously, like it went really well it goes really well for me when the setup gets freer rather than tighter. And yeah, I mean, you just have to be really disciplined. Like there's a time to push and then there's a time to save, and just knowing when to do both was key to kind of just having a good car. Like, there are times I just hung out there kind of waiting, and then it's like, all right, I think this is good to start pushing, and pulled a second and a half gap, and that made my pit stops really kind of easy. Had a 2-lap tire advantage, just kind of because you just got to manage the car rather than get stuck in traffic. Like if it goes tighter, you just get stuck in traffic, you get tight, the leader drives away. It's what it is. So I do prefer when it gets freer like that.
Well, it was a great run for you tonight, finishing in the top 3. You've definitely shown that arguably the best car not in the playoffs this season, even though I know the only thing that cost you the playoffs was just not making enough starts. So you've definitely shown that you belong, but still a great effort tonight, top 3, and shout out to whoever you like to, bud.
Yeah, again, 811 call before you dig, sponsoring the series, Sim500, for education graphics for the car, like, you all for broadcasting. Yeah, it's fun. We got a few handful of weeks left of this, so we'll see if we can get another one.
Well, great job tonight there, Byron, finishing in the third position. We'll let you go, and appreciate you hanging out and racing.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Byron Daly finishing in third. And here's where we're going to jump really quickly. You and I, Kev, we're going to jump up to the broadcast room just so I don't get confused. And we're going to get the other drivers up here with us, and this will keep it easier for me to obviously get the drivers up here to the right channel instead of the admin channel. But Josh Parker comes up here and joins us. Kevin, I'll, let's see, he's the winner of the race. Yeah, why not, Kev? Talk to the winner.
Yeah, how do I try Daniel Falkingham? I just wandered down here to pit road. Daniel,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
how you doing, man? It's been a long time. You're on mute.
Yeah, Daniel muted himself here.
There you go. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, how you guys doing?
So tell us, started from pit road. Was that by design or just?
No, not at all. So here's I got a little story. I got a little story here.
Okay,
So
let's hear it.
I was qualifying to do my qualifying lap, and my headset decided to like crash on me essentially. Like the audio kept flickering in and out, and then it got to the point where the audio just cut out completely. So I had no engine, no audio for my Q lap, and then while I was doing my second lap, the game it seemed like I lost all my frames, and my game froze, so I missed 3 and 4 and blew my Q lap. So I could have probably easily been pole or at least front row. And then trying to rectify the issue, I lost Discord connection too, so I had to restart my computer, then rejoin. But thankfully, I joined enough in time where they took the green flag. So thankfully, I didn't get held in the box. Like once I got on pit road, I was able to leave, go about my business. So that made for a little bit of an exciting race. Drove from like 36 all the way up to probably maybe around 6th or 7th, and was probably looking in pretty good shape until the yellow came out. But I think the yellow actually helped me. But a little bit of too much of an adventurous race for me. But I'd say it's one of my more satisfying drives in a little while.
So how do you navigate that? Do you run hard from the beginning? Do you have to focus? I mean, obviously it's a shaky start. You have to get your head in the game and then run your race. Did you pace yourself or you just go on kill from the beginning?
Yeah, I tried to pace myself a little bit because I knew how loose it was going to get, because from the few laps I was able to get in practice, I only knew this was going to get looser, and plus the track was literally on fire. So I had to really tiptoe and all that. But even I think the problem was I was by myself in clean air, and I think that actually made me burn up my right rear a bit more because I had all the turn in the world, which was actually not good. I think you wanted to be in traffic to actually handle good. Like I remember I rolled up to Jimmy Coleman like from so far back, but then he like started driving away from me in like the last 15 laps of the run before we pitted for our first pit stop. But after that, I played a little bit of fuel strategy, like trying to take out some fuel, take the fuel out of the car, maybe make it handle a little bit better, and it actually helped me. And I was actually probably one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. So I tried that again on the final when we got tires for the last time. Didn't put fuel in it, and I was just ripping on that short run. Like I got up to third from fifth from like 7th. And I think I shot the win until the friggin' yellow came out. So I think I had a good shot there, but nonetheless, I'm very satisfied with second. We'll definitely take the points, and I think that should log us into the final round on points so we can go have some fun at Dega next week.
Take us through that final. You saw the 2 cars in front of you start to tussle for the lead, and the yellow came out. Take us through those last couple laps. What kind of opportunity did you have to get up there and challenge? They seem to get a really good restart. Were you laying back, or they just took off? Take us through those last couple laps.
Yeah, you talking about the last restart?
The last restart to the finish.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of had an outside shot at the win from that point because Josh took the top to try and pin me in behind Byron, which was a good strategy. And I knew it was probably going to be between him and Byron. So the main goal I wanted to try to get to was second. So Byron and Josh went down to turn 1. I tried to arc out the corner as much as I could, short shift up to 5th to try to keep the car at least not from getting loose, which is what happened to Byron off turn 2. Then I was able to get a run on him, and then I pretty much cornered Byron through 3 and 4 to just get the spot because I knew Josh was going to be long down the road. So that was my goal, try to get second, and we did that. So I'd say that's why I think I rate that as one of my most satisfying drives in a little while. Just how I was able to get by cars on the short run where it was really hard to pass because everyone is turning it up to 11, as they say. trying to get all they can get out of it. So I feel pretty good. I was even able to get those spots where I could put myself in a good position to win that race. Just I don't think I needed that last yellow, and I had a really good shot to win that, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers, when they study the races, watch where you're doing and how you're doing it, and there's an obvious reason for that. Good run tonight. Anybody want to say hello to, shout out to?
Yeah, just got to thank January 31st, First Rate Battle Option 207 for all their support. I got to thank Joey and everyone who runs the show. I got to thank NC811 for all they do for the series. Everyone who races each every week. Also, everyone at Team Name, Chad, David, Byron, Rich Beasley, Josh. Congrats to Josh on the win again. Everyone at my real team, North Force Racing, Preston Gilson, Vince Marsh, everyone over there, all my teammates. After last Thursday, we are officially in the Contender Series, so that was a big goal I wanted to do at the start of the year, and now the ultimate goal is to get into the Coke Series next year. So we're ready to get going for that when November comes around. So definitely look forward to that. So I'm proud to represent those guys over here. Thank them for letting me come do this. So hopefully we can finish off this year with the championship over here, and then maybe we can get the ultimate prize at the end of the year trying to get to Coke. So thanks to all those guys over there. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to all the fans who watch these every week. Thanks to Cosmos, Plastico Graphics for painting up my car, and friends and family for all their support.
There you go. Daniel Falkingham comes home second after winning this race last week, and he'll be a contender the rest of the season. We'll turn it over to Chris. He's caught up with our winner tonight, Josh Parker.
Yeah, Josh, obviously a big win for you tonight. I know you were contending most of the night. You did your traditional start-to-back type of thing. And starting 30th, you come working your way up there through the field and found yourself up there in the front with the strategies that took place. And, of course, you had that caution that came out at about 20 to go. You took that last set of fresh tires and were able to get the momentum up there to the lead and your way to a second victory now this season. Obviously, a big win considering, obviously, where you're at right now in the playoffs. It's just got to be a pretty good moment for you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've been running like crud last, I don't know, so ever since Indy. So it's definitely good to get a win. It definitely played out in my favor, though. You know, my crew pretty much won me this race on that last restart. They were able to get me ahead of David Comstock, and I was able to put me in position behind the older tires.
Talk about the restart there. Obviously, you took the top side, pinning Daniel back. Just how hard was it? Because, I mean, you're on, 15-lap tires at that point? So you're going green, and know there's going to be a little bit of wheel spin. So talk about how tough it was to kind of get that car going and being worried that, hey, I could spin the tires here with one mistake.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if that yellow didn't come out, I was a sitting duck because I burnt my start. I burnt my tires up on the last restart, thinking that the dirty air would kind of level itself out and be able to just coast. And it wasn't that. So the yellow kind of saved me, and I knew all I had to do was get a good restart and take the top to pin Daniel behind Byron and make them go side by side. And I didn't think they would have a chance to be able to get back up to me after the tires cool back down. So it pretty much came down to not overshooting turns 1 and 2 with the colder tires with the heat cycled, and I from that point on I felt like I had it.
Yeah, you did a great job out there, maintaining your position, getting up there through the field. And I know that had to be an adventure, especially when you go the first, 100 laps?
It was like 100, yeah.
Like that. That had to be rough to know, hey, maybe this thing might go green. I might not even get a chance to try to win this race.
That was my first thought, and it kind of sucked because I enjoy starting in the back. I enjoy kind of taking my time at the start and kind of just gradually getting into the race and, kind of warm yourself into it. So I enjoy it. So after, I also enjoy going green though. So that was fun. But I started off going about a second and a half slower than everybody to start the race. And it was able to get me up to about 5th position. But from that point, it was just, I didn't have enough track position because it was from lap 0 to lap 110. So, I was saying on Discord the whole time, it's like I just needed yellow. I knew I was playing fast enough to win the race. I just needed to get back even with everybody else, and we were able to have that yellow. And like you said, after that it was just strategic, and like I said, it played out. So it's good to be able to go to Talladega with a little bit of cushion.
Yeah, I was going to say you entered the points battle fourth, but the problem is you had a mosh pit, if you will, right on top of you, with like what 5, 6, 7 drivers. It looks like within about 25 points of each other. When you get a field this big, that's all one race pretty much of a separation. So obviously tonight, winning this race looks like you'll at least jump up to second in the points. Obviously, you're far back from Daniel, not going to catch him, but at least it helps you knowing that, you know, down to 10th, it's probably going to be more than 30 points. You might actually have got your way into the second round already.
Yeah, it seems like I was looking at the points earlier this morning, and I was actually shocked. I was like, man, I was only 10 points to the good, and it's a lot closer than I wanted to be. And I look back at my finishes, and I saw that my best finish was like 8th. So, you know, most people would be happy with an 8th, but I'm definitely, you know, not to sound like a sore loser, but that's just not characteristic. So, yeah, everyone was bunched up, and I think I got about, like you said, a 30-point lead. So it seems like I just got to show up, and you know, I'm aggressive as it is, so I'm going to try to win. I love plate racing. I always find myself up front in the plate racing. It's fun to me. It's another strategic type of race. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to go for it, and I got nothing to lose now.
There you go. Well, great job tonight. Send some shout outs to whoever you like to, bud.
Yeah, everyone over at Sim500, all the admins here, you guys doing the broadcast, Kevin hopping in the booth, dusting off that microphone of his from the 60s, and
Wow.
everyone over at Team Name. Yeah, like I said, if I forgot anyone, sorry.
I'm more caught off guard with the 60s microphone. Now I'm.
He's got that old school 60s New England
silver,
microphone going.
You're talking about the silver one, like kind of like the old the ring mic, if you will. Is that what you're talking about? He's using maybe that?
No, that's his wife's tool. Ever talk about the microphone?
Wow.
Oh wow. Okay then. So, congratulations. I'll let Kevin have his time with you soon. So.
I'll get out of here before I get arrested.
It's all good.
Josh Parker, the winner tonight of the race, and throwing digs at Kevin already. So, man, what a race that was. I'm looking at a whole lot of people down here. I mean, we could pull some others up here. Let's see. Anybody off the top? Let's see who's all in here. You know what? I got to bring in the man from last night.
Yes.
Let's get him here. Wortman. I got to bring him in here. Mr. Wortman.
Ring the bell.
Yeah. All right, my man. So you rang the bell last night. You go get yourself 4 Mr. Feelgoods. They were at 5 laps to go. Work your way up to 12th. And it's like, all right, the man's got all types of momentum, and you get a top 12 here in the Cup Series tonight.
Yeah. Like one point, I was 2 laps down after stayed out on that very long run. I went 68 laps on one set of tires on the tank of gas. Went 2 laps down, and I was able to get my lap back the old-fashioned way by unlapping myself to Byron Daly. I got a little loose, but I was able to keep my momentum so Byron didn't, came back to lap me, the second time. And then after that caution came out with the 90. He did a Cody Ware into the wall. Yeah. That, Cody was lucky that he didn't got concussion, but yeah, so glad that he was able to walk away from that accident. Continue on with my race night. So I decided with what was it, 30 lap old tires or whatever, I'm staying out. I'm just going to try to risk it and get my other lap back and hope for the best that the caution comes out again. And next thing you know, caution came back out again. I was like 7 seconds away from being lapped again with Jimmy Coleman, and was able to come down pit road, took 4 tires, was able to, get up to 17th. I said that last caution with everybody ran out of tires except for me and Kevin Brown. I said, let me go get my last 4 and try to get a top 10 in 2-pot sort. But at 12th, after running around 30th to 35th all night, a very good night in the office for the 74 team.
So the obvious question here: has it fallen off after last night? I mean, are we still feeling like what took place? I actually brought it up that towards the end of this race, I'm like, obviously Kevin brought up trends, and I'm like, well, the only trend I can find here is, and I came to find that the winner from last season at Texas started 7th in the race, and of course you were 7th on the final lap last night. And I'm like, well, maybe whoever's 7th or started 7th might win this race or something like that. But has the high fallen off after the Atlanta race last night?
A little, but I'm still, very, very blessed with, all the messages I got on Discord, on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. I'm very blessed that I have very good friends here, and I would never, exchange that for the world. That why I came here, to make friends.
Is there any one person that you maybe were shocked when you when you saw a message from, or didn't expect one from?
The one is Jonathan Cadell at Steel Horse. He liked my tweet, and I think he retweeted my trailer message. That one, I haven't rated him in a while. Nick Silver, he's on a one. Like, there so many, former Sim500 members that came and congratulate me. Daniel Falkingham, Justin Fuller, EJ, the people that didn't race last night even congratulate me.
That's awesome.
How about you NASCAR guys? I know you're in the community. Any of them paying attention?
Yeah, there was a lot of people from my NASCAR community. Congratulate me. Jennifer Calandrello, she's known as Infield Jen. She is boyfriend with Brian Kedlacki, brother. Yeah. I think Joey Gates said something.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, Joey Gates liked it. I think I saw his name came up. Cindy Shepard, Morgan Shepard. Yeah. Morgan Shepard's daughter, not
her daughter. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not his wife, Cindy. Daughter, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And a few others. I saw Mike Harmon today. Mike Harmon was happy about me, and Ryan Bell, he crew chief for Mike Harmon. They he saw the replay of that wreck and couldn't believe it.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
That's cool.
Well, great job, man. Good 12th place finish tonight. We'll let you go enjoy your evening, but congratulations again on last night. Congrats on the top 12 tonight. The momentum continues, and always remember, for the next 6 nights, you're still the points leader in the Truck Series.
I'm going to do my best. Last time we raced Fontana with the trucks, I had a very impressive top 15 going on till me and another truck collided, just bumping fenders at the end, and that little wrinkle in my fender caused me to finish like 17th or 18th. It wasn't that bad.
Well, I seem to remember 2000. How the irony in this one. I just thought about this. We started racing together in 2012. And in 2012, Matt Kenseth won the Daytona 500. And do you remember who won the Auto Club race the next week?
I think of Matt Kenseth.
It was Matt Kenseth. So there's your irony with the whole Auto Club being the second race of the schedule thing. So.
And Auto Club, if you look at my history there, my most memorable race at Auto Club was restarting a green white checkered in 30th and they made it through, the first lap without wrecking. And next thing you know, they were rodding him up at the exit of turn 2, and I went from 30th to 12th.
There you go. So, if Sim500 had a sports book, I know where I'm going next week for Auto Club. I'm just saying. Anyways, great job, and go enjoy your week, man.
Yep, thank you.
You too, buddy. Brian Workman. It's so weird when let me get him down to his channel where he was with the Mafia there. Now I know we're about to probably get off here, but it's so weird when just something comes to your mind like that. In 2012 came to my head, and I thought about that, and I'm like, wait a minute, we started racing with each other, so it kind of all connects there. Excuse me, with 10 years later, here we go. He wins the opening race in Atlanta, and here's Auto Club, the second race of the season. Yes, I know it's Atlanta, it's not Daytona, yada, yada, yada. I understand all that, but that's just interesting. So, all right, Kev, we're going to close the book on this one, but what a fun race it was tonight. Your thoughts as we send it home?
Yeah, just always impressed that no matter what happens in the complex of the race, these guys put on a great show. I thought it was a really entertaining race, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Absolutely, man. Well, pleasure working with you, and looks like we'll see each other next week at the Talladega Super Speedway. Should be a fun final race of round number 1. Of course, as I mentioned, it's 20 cars in the first round of the playoffs of 5 races, and then after that, it will go to 10 for another 5 races. That'll finish up at Phoenix at the end of the season. So, Kevin, appreciate it, man. We'll see you next week, bud.
Yep.
And a big shout out to...
Yeah, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. Appreciate, of course, Sim500, North Carolina 811. Call before you dig. Make sure you do that, especially with, again, the storms that have happened recently. If you're down in that area, obviously our thoughts and prayers are with you, but be careful around power lines and that kind of thing. And obviously, before you dig, if you're doing something around the house or whatever, make sure you do call before you do that, because you never know what could be underground when that is all said and done. So, big shout out to Sim500, Joey Jatina. Appreciate allowing the Captain Esports Network for being a part of the broadcast. As always, we will get this over to the great people at the Sim Racing channel, and you'll likely see this broadcast later on into the week, into the weekend, over if you have a Roku stick or even an online account there with the Sim Racing channel. You'll see this broadcast done there. So big shout out to those guys who put that show on over there from I'm just actually looking at names real quickly here, like Jim Blankenship and Stan Carnathan and those guys for what they do with that channel. That's really cool to see podcasts and different iRacing events over on that channel. But you can see this broadcast there later on in the week, so big shout out to them. And as always, remember, this isn't just a game, it's iRacing. See ya!